On today, he's still in it. Oh,
abundant, joyful, and peaceful lives. And so it is. We'll start now. We're going to have our first song for our beautiful team this morning. And the song is It's a Beautiful Morning.
It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh air, boy. Ain't no sense in staying inside. If the weather's fine and you got the time, it's your chance to wake up and plan another brand new day. Gotta say, it's a beautiful morning. Each bird keeps singing his own song. so long. I've gotta be on my way now. No fun just hanging around. I gotta cover ground. You couldn't keep me down. It just ain't no good option sometimes when you're still inside.
Shouldn't hide.
Still inside.
Shouldn't hide.
Still inside. Shouldn't hide. Oh. Ooh. Here we go. There will be children with robins and flowers, sunshine caresses for each waking hour. Seems to me that people keep seeing more and more each day.
Gotta say,
Lead the way.
it's okay.
Brand new day.
Gotta
say, win today. Gotta say, oh, oh, ooh, oh, ooh, oh, oh, oh.
Wow, thank you so much. That was so refreshing. I love it. I know it's a song we probably all heard and known for years, and I've never known all the words, but I love listening to it. Thank you. We will start this morning. We have Carol coming to us from our diversity and inclusivity team to do the quote this morning.
Thank you, Gwen. I'd like to do a brief summary of the topic for the day so that you understand how the quote meshes with the message. Our affirmation for today is I swim in the flow of consciousness, sowing good wherever I go. And today's topic is we think of our world as solid, but Holmes reminds us that we are dealing with a fluent force. We can learn to flow with liquid law and not be stopped by appearances of solidity. It takes a shift of consciousness and a grounding in truth principles to look solid facts in the eye and say, you're not so real after all. Just as we have come to understand that thoughts are things, we also become aware that things are thoughts in form. Change the thoughts, change the things. Now that's a summary of Science of Mind's message for today. The quote we have from a wonderful scientist, everything is energy. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics.
Thank you, Carol. That was beautiful. We will continue on. We're going to read our what we believe statement or principle today. So if you would read this with me, please. We believe in the revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. And so it is. So we're going to have next our congregational song. So if you're willing and able, we stand and sing this. The words will be up on the prompter.
You are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hand, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world, is a blessing, is a blessing to the world, is a blessing, is a blessing to the world.
Wow. Thank you. I hope you take just a moment. If you were outside that wall and couldn't see in here, you would have thought there was 100 voices singing. That was special. So here's what I want to do to start today. I want to tap in to that energy. As Carol mentioned, that energy you just experienced as we sang that beautiful song together. And know that there is one power, one universe, one magnificent knowing that we call love. And that love is the energy that we just shared with one another. And one of the reasons why it resonated is we know and accept that that energy is love. In fact, we know and accept that all there is love. And knowing and believing that there is only love that connects us, we affirm that we are open at the top to see how to be the messengers of love. And that is indeed our calling. So as we come together today, we bless our musicians. We bless our technical crew. We bless anyone watching on YouTube or Facebook. We say, we see you. We thank God for you. And we're so glad that you are a part of that energy. And so I turn today's talk, I turn today's message over to that divine inspiration that we are claiming as love today. And so it is. It's so good to be back. Yay. But here's what I know about that energy and that love is even when we're being virtual, we still feel it. You know, and one of the things that talk today, and I want to really kind of quote my early mentor, Terry Whitaker, and she would often say she never allows the title of the message to get in the way of the message. Because oftentimes we're asked to select the title of the message weeks before we've done any research or homework or thinking about what we want to talk about. And today's message is about being one with the flow. Well, that's interpreted in so many different ways. And so I'm going to try to because it's the holidays, put a little bow on it. But a part of what I've learned since this pandemic is sometimes going with the flow is being willing to say yes to doing something in a new way. Has that been true for anyone else in the room? Is that just me? Okay, it's just me. Well, then I'm going to share with that. I didn't like Zoom originally until I taught my first class on Zoom. And one of the things that I realized, I could see the faces of the students. And with my impaired vision, I can't see your face. I don't see your smile. I don't see the twinkle in your eye when we're together like this. I see your image. I feel your spirit. I feel your energy. But on Zoom, I can see that smile. I can see that eye. I can see that inquisitive little I have a question here. I want to know a little bit more about this, which is how I used to be when I was facilitating in the room. Does that make sense? So now it's like I'm kind of excited about Zoom. I'm kind of excited about doing different things in my life that, 5 years ago I would have said, no, that's not really for me. I don't really want to do that thing. And I want to apologize ahead of time by talking a little bit too much about me today. But one of the things I've come to learn is that my journey over the last couple of years have really given me the example of going with the flow and surrendering to the flow and having to trust the process. So I want to start out though by talking about the Cook sisters. Now, you may know they're not somebody that lives across town that we're going to gossip about. The Cook sisters are two, what in the day of the early 1900s and 1930s would have been known as spinsters. They were two sisters that lived together in London. And some might say, they just said they were sisters, but that's okay. But what they did is they loved opera. And so as they saved their pennies, they decided that they wanted to travel throughout Europe, hearing any operatic concert that they could participate in. So they would save their money and they would go to Denmark, or they would go to Ireland, or they would go anywhere else, to experience opera. They loved opera. It was the focus of their life. Just like some of our friends love sports and they follow the team, they were absolutely entrenched with this idea of following Caruso and some of the great operatic stars of the day. And so as they did this, they got to know some of the actors in the 30s, and they would show up throughout Europe at different concerts and holiday specials for the opera. They couldn't wait to be there. They were engaged, they were there, and they got to become friends with some of the stars. And then towards the late part of the decade of the 1930s, one of the operatic stars that they were following and had become close to said, "You know, I have a friend who is trying to get out of Germany, and could they come and stay in your flat in London?" And the two sisters said, "Well, of course. Just like any of us would with, a friend of a friend, sure, come stay." And so the friend came from Germany and stayed in their flat and got resettled in the United Kingdom. And then the next concert, the next opera they went to, the next season they went and they said, "Well, we have another friend from Poland that is looking to relocate in the United Kingdom. Could you help them?" And they said, "Well, sure, of course." Well, because they were attuned to these progressive souls, these operas, these people in the arts, they were aware of the transition that was happening under the spell of Hitler. And they also realized that the artist community was helping Jewish people escape. But here's the bigger thing. They weren't just helping the individual get out of Germany. They were helping the individual take their assets and their money as well. Because one of the things that the Hitler regime wanted was the wealth. And so if you had any influence at all, they would break into your home and steal your art, steal your jewels, whatever it might be, and you would be left abandoned. So these two spinster ladies came up with a plan. They decided to become allies, advocates, and finally co-conspirators of a movement. So the first level of allyship was helping that friend, that one person. "I have a friend moving from Poland to the United Kingdom. Can you help him?" Of course. That's being an ally. Being an advocate is kind of taking it to the next level to where it's like, okay, well, what can we do? How can we support helping these folks escape this tyranny and get out of the country with their assets? So they thought, wait a minute, we go to the opera. And so they would connect with a wealthy individual from Poland or Germany and put on their fur coat, wear their jewels, put their money in their purse. Then they went to the opera and they got their assets out of the country. Now, here's where they became co-conspirators. Once the person got settled in the United Kingdom, they got their assets out first. No one suspected anything because these were just two spinster ladies from the United Kingdom that loved opera. And since they were going to the opera, nobody was going to question them wearing diamonds or having a fur coat or even having some cash. They weren't even asked about the cash in their purse. So they got it back to the United Kingdom, put it in a bank, set up accounts for these individuals, and bought 2 flats for people to live in. They became co-conspirators in what was doing what they felt was the right thing to do. They were called to do this thing. Now, they probably never studied in the class to say, this is what you should be doing for the world. But as it unfolded before them, they merely went with the flow and said, I can do this. I can do this thing. They helped 129 Jewish people escape from the Nazis. Two spinster ladies from the United Kingdom, the Cook sisters. Now, that's an inspirational story for you, because one of the things that I want to help us understand today, that going with the flow means you may be called upon to be the examples, to do something you never dreamed that you would be doing. But when the offer is made, when the opportunity comes, guess what? It feels right. Just like that song before we started this service today, the energy of that music, of that song, didn't it feel right? Didn't you feel like you were in the right place as that song was being sung? That's magical. That is being in touch with something bigger than yourself. Now, all of us, if we went to traditional churches as we grew up, we were taught about my favorite verses in the New Testament in Matthew, where it says, I was hungry and you fed me. I was unclothed and you gave me clothing. I was unhoused and you gave me shelter. All of that. I was in jail and you visited me. That is the only gospel that the master teacher, Yeshua, whom the world came to call Jesus, said that we should be following as spiritual beings on that path. The Cook sisters did that. They did each one of those things without even realizing necessarily that that was their chosen vocation, that that's what they came into the world to do. But they held on to this idea of being willing to show up and to be attentive and to be that messenger. I want to be really, really radical with you today. I want you to think about showing up in 2025 in a new and radical way. Are you willing? Okay. I hear some knees knocking. I see it's like, oh, what's he talking about? Am I going to have to get out my checkbook? No. Oh, that's okay. Because you are being called to be something bigger than you can even imagine for yourself. If you're open to going with the flow, trust the process. If you're open to going with the flow, things will just unfold naturally for what is yours to do. You may be invited to be in service in a way that you never imagined to be, not just here at church. You know, there are a lot of people, look how quickly you came together to take care of this family for Christmas. That's an admirable thing. That's being an ally. For you to go to Target or you to go wherever you went to pick up the gift, to wrap it, to bring it, to put it under the tree, that's allyship in action. That's a divine place to be. Now, an advocate is the person who sought out that family, whether it's the Salvation Army or whatever organization that knew the families that we are called to serve this year. They're being the advocate for that family. They're saying, here's who we have identified as in need, and here's what they want, and here's what they need. And they're being an advocate for them. When we work with that same family, though, to not just feed them, not just give them shelter, not just give them some clothes, when we work with them to advance their life, to take the next steps, that's when we become spiritual co-conspirators. Now, not everyone's called to do that. Some folks are just called to be the advocates, and that's okay. Some folks are just called to be the allies, and that's okay. But if you're called to do something bigger, go do the thing. Because you would not receive that spiritual urge, that insight to go do the thing, unless spirit or love already believed that you had the skills necessary to do the thing. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Because sometimes we realize that we are put in places that we would never dream that we were going to be there. Part of my ministry this past couple of years has been doing something that I've never done before in ministry, and that's working with the incarcerated. You know, it's like I never could see myself as that prison minister or reaching out in that way, but I know there are people there that need that love, need that guidance, need that support. But when it became a congregant of one of the centers that I support, it was like, oh, I've got to really do this thing. I can't just hope that someone else is doing that work as a pastor. Now, someone that has attended my classes, someone that has attended our church is in jail. And we believe in our heart of hearts that they're innocent, but it's what happens to many of our friends and loved ones that are a person of color or a person that does not have the same economic value. Even if they're innocent, they get thrown into a system that is presuming that they are guilty until proven innocent. So what happens oftentimes is this system of our justice system believes that if you are white or Caucasian, you're innocent until proven guilty. And you're given every chance to prove that you're innocent. If you're a person of color, you are assumed to be guilty. And you're treated as if you're guilty. And that's what we've got to change. That's what we've got to be allies to see that in a different way and advocates. So I was called into a level of being an advocate for someone that I believed in my heart of heart was innocent. But the system was not supporting them. And then I got to realize that when I went and tried to be their ally or their advocate, I was shut down. Because of that presumption that because of the color of their skin, they're guilty. They must be guilty. Now, I'm working with this person on the phone to inspire them, to give them the courage to get from Monday to Tuesday. They can't look at a bigger picture because the first time they go for their preliminary hearing, what are they told? Okay, your trial will be in 18 months. 18 months. To have to sit in a county jail, whether it be any county jail, to sit there and to realize that once you're sitting there knowing that you're innocent, but knowing that you do not have the financial resources or the wherewithal to fight for yourself, you can become depressed. You can doubt God and go, wait a minute, where is this benevolent person? I'm praying every day, Reverend Jack. Why is this happening to me? And I didn't know how to answer that question. Because you see, because from my place of privilege, I've never been incarcerated. And so I don't necessarily know how to survive it on my own by giving any kind of expertise that I might have to say, well, this is what I would suggest you do, or why don't you try doing this? And so before each phone call, I had to pray. And I would say, Spirit, show me. I don't know what to say. Spirit, show me how to be an advocate for this young man. Show me how to guide him through the day to day. And then Spirit would say something that to my ego made no sense. Spirit would say, tell him to look to see why he's there. Now, not for his accountability of any perceived crime, but to look about and see who else is incarcerated with him that he could support. And so when we had that first conversation and he came to me with the fear and the anxiety, I said, look around you right now. Do you see anyone in more pain, in more upset than you? And he goes, oh yeah. There's this guy Carlos whose family has abandoned him, who won't take a phone call. I go be with him. Show him how you're coping. So here's what happened. This young man went on and started to do prayer services in the county facility that he's assigned to. And because he was always a part of the choir, he didn't know how to pray. He wasn't a minister. He didn't know how to do an invocation or a benediction or a prayer treatment or any part of the structure of it. So when he went to end the thing, he just sang. He sang a song that he remembered. And then one of the things that he realized, just like with that opening song you all did this morning, all of these guys were singing together. And then suddenly his phone conversations went from how could God abandon me to guess what I did today, Reverend Jack? I got to be there for someone else. He went with the flow. He showed up and was responsive in that moment. And so I want you to be inspired by him today. He's working through the system, but he knows that there is, as his words that he said that I once said, so I must have said it, was there is no place that God is not. And if there is no place that God is not, there is no place that love is not present, even in a very scary place that someone might not have been before. So I want to leave you with this today. As we approach the holidays, there is going to be an opportunity in your life to be an ally, an advocate, or a co-conspirator for someone that is hungry and needs food, someone that needs shelter and needs a roof over their head, someone that needs some clothing, someone that just needs a smile from you, someone that knows they are seen and heard and loved, and you're the one standing in front of them to do that. That's what you're being called to do. And there is someone incarcerated, whether they're wrongfully incarcerated or rightfully incarcerated, that is not yours to judge. You are called to be there to remind them that there is no place, that God is not. And so I'm inviting you to accept that challenge today. I am inviting you to stand up and say yes to being willing to be responsive, to be the demonstration that this stuff works. Are you willing? Okay, 2 more people are willing than what we started with, and that's okay. But I want you just to percolate on that and say yes to being willing. And thank you for listening to my message. So, Gwen, you have to tell me what's next because since it's live, I've forgotten.
So, I would love for you to sing. I would love for you to sing that.
Okay, we'll let
Fantastic.
that
Just stand right there and do that.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Yuletide carols being sung by a choir. And folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on the way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Ooh. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Ooh, although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you.
Wow, thank you. That was beautiful. One of my favorite Christmas songs. So next we're going to go into our conscious giving. So can I have our ushers come forward, please? So we have our, here it is, our prosperity prayer. I'll read this together, please. Today I expect every good thing to come to me, for I know that divine abundance is forever manning itself in my affairs. I am keeping my whole mind and thought and expectation open to new experiences, to happier events, and to a more complete self expression. Everything that belongs to spirit, I accept. Everything that partakes of the nature of the divine reality, I claim as my own. I identify with success and I prosper in everything I do. As I give thanks for good now flowing into my life, I gladly share that good with others. The more I give, the more I receive. I experience a deeper consciousness of peace and security, for I know that I am in the embrace of a warm, loving presence. My cup runneth over. I exist in limitless possibility. Thank you. Thank you. We bless these gifts and give thanks for all the good they will do and manifest in our community. And so it is. Thank
So
you.
it is.
Oh. Sorry, couldn't hear that. Thank you so much.
Mike? I want to talk more. And part 2 of my talk today. We're about to move into our benediction. But one of the things that I have asked Gwen to do is to read a very special prayer. And it is my ask as your spiritual leader that between now and January 20th, that we do this prayer each Sunday. And a part of it is affirming what is highest and best, not only for our country, but for our world. Ernest Holmes wrote a prayer several years ago in the 50s called The Prayer for My Country. And we have modified it just a little bit to be an anthem, an affirmative way of being a prayer for my country. And so that's what we're going to use as our benediction before we move into the peace song. But what I'm going to also invite you to do, if any part of today's message touched you, inspired you, share the link to our YouTube channel of that message on your social media page. And the other thing that I want you to know is next week, this prayer will be posted on the CSL Visalia website so that you can recite it and read it at home and be in prayer around this for the next several weeks, if you're willing. Are you willing? Okay. So, Gwen, will you read our prayer?
Okay. My Prayer for the World by Ernest Holmes. Believing in the divine destiny of the world and in the preservation of liberty, security, and self-expression, I offer this, my prayer for the world. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the world, directing the thought and the activity of all who guide its affairs. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are the gifts of freedom and that the divine heritage of and are the divine heritage of everyone in the world. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are now operating in the affairs of every individual in the world. I know that divine guidance enlightens collective minds of the people of the world, causing it to know that economic security may come to all without a loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that freedom must be surrendered in order to assure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind of God contains answers to every problem which confronts the world. I know that every leader in the world is now directed to this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge has the knowledge of complete solution for every problem. For each compelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in the world personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. And so it is. Amen.
So, as you come forward to join us in the circle to do our closing song, the peace song, a song that is appropriate for this time of year, but it's always an appropriate reminder that peace comes from the inside. Life is an inside out task. And so let's do the thing. So come forward, Puss, and let's sing.
Now there is peace on earth. I know it begins with me. Now there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, and this is the moment now. With every breath I take, this is my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun.